Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this is going to be our family nursing class. And gosh, you guys get stuck with me again. So they asked me what I wanted to teach this term, and I kind of didn't really have much of a choice, honestly, but they asked me what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to do nursing informatics again because that was such a pain in the butt. So they gave me this class, and I didn't even realize what it was until I started to look at it. But yeah, so family nursing.
That's all.
So anyway, so we'll get through it. It'll be fine. So you guys are supposed to be getting your ATI books hopefully in the mail today or tomorrow. We had a chance to go to the campus with the dean. I want to say it was last week or the week before or something like that. And I was thinking about it then because normally, first day of class, I would hand out your ATI books to you. So you should be getting one for OB, so it's a separate one for OB, one for PEDS, and then also one for community. So there's 3 different books you should be getting in the mail. The one for OB is going to look like this. So it's like a yellowish color. The one for PEDS should be like, I don't know, like a bluish grayish color. So it kind of looks similar to the one you had for funds. So anyway, hopefully you guys get those today. If you don't, for some reason, get them like today or tomorrow, please let me know so we can figure out what's going on with that. All right, so I'm just going to do some of the normal stuff we do on the first day. So we're going to go through the syllabus a little bit and see if anyone has any questions about anything. So let me see if I can share my screen a second. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is on the announcements page on our class here. So let's get into the syllabus a second. Okay, so on the first page here. So you guys met Mrs. Costello already. So she is your OB clinical person, very nice girl. So hopefully you'll have a good time with her. She's got a lot of good experience in OB, so hopefully she'll teach you a lot more than I will. Julie Vavrick is going to be your instructor for the PEDS portion of this class. So the second half of the class, you'll meet her. And she's got a lot of good experience as well. So both of them will be able to help you out with quite a bit. So I have their phone numbers and email addresses there in case you need them. So over on the right-hand side, you see my schedule. So Mondays is my virtual day that you could get a hold of me regardless. I'll be here. So I have my email address there, but you guys, if you needed to get a hold of me, you could call me or text me or whatever too. Tuesdays, these are my office hours, 10 to 12 and 2 to 4. Wednesdays, I have class, with you guys, basically. So 8 to 11:45 and then 12:30 to 3:20. Thursdays, I have class from 12:30 to 4:15. And then Fridays, I have class from 9 to 11:50, and then I do a lab from 12:30 to 3. So that's kind of where I'm at. So for our class, you're supposed to have a total of 90 hours for a clinical. So it's kind of weird the way they do it with this online stuff. They have it figured out, but if you do this many hours of this and this many hours of this, it equals your clinical hours. So what we have you doing is supposed to be good enough to meet this requirement here. So you should be good. Okay, so here's our list of books here. So of course, we just talked about the ATI books that you'll hopefully be getting in the mail here soon. For our book for this portion of the class, it's this one, this Durham and Chapman, Maternal Newborn Nursing, the Critical Components of Nursing Care, 3rd edition. And then for the second part of the class, for the peds, it'll be this Red and Kosinko, Pediatric Nursing, the Critical Components of Nursing Care, 2nd edition. So those are the 2 main books for the class there. Okay, and please let me know if you see any mistakes on my syllabus because I've had to do so many different things, it's not even funny. Okay, so for today, there's 3 chapters that, they had on for today. So chapters 1, 2, and 3. Whenever you do get your OB textbook for ATI, it would be, the first 2 chapters in there that you could look at. We do have a dosage calculation exam in here, just like you have in previous classes. So you know how it's supposed to be, you take the one, and if you don't pass that, then you have to take the second one. It's the same type of thing. So they have a dosage calculation practice exam. So I have that open for us to mess with today so we can look at that. There's been a couple of specific types of problems that I want to go over with you and make sure you know how to do. So I don't think it'll be too bad. They're not really that hard. So we'll do some practice with that, and then I'll give you some like practice stuff that you could do out of your med math book that you guys have, because that'll help you get ready for this test. So hopefully it won't be too bad. On the original syllabus, I moved this stuff back because they had it on the first day that we were supposed to do our first exam, for math. I thought that was ridiculous. So I pushed it back a week. Okay, week 2. So next week, we go over a few more chapters. It's going to seem like we go over a ton of stuff in a short period of time, and it's just like that in this class. There's no way of getting around it, unfortunately. So 18, 19, 4, and 5, those chapters there. And then, like I said, we're going to do that first dosage calculation exam that day. So week 3, we are going to have 8, 9, 11 that we go over. And then that day, you also will have the dosage calculation exam 2 if someone needs it. And then you have your first assignment due. So it's going to be ATI OB practice A with remediation. And it's going to be worth 25 points. So what have you guys done for remediation for ATI before in other classes?
Like if we got below,
Go ahead.
yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If we got, like if we got below a certain, I think it's like the 90 to 80 range, you had to do 3, and then it just keeps adding like 3 to it. So like we would only have to do like a total of like 12 if we got like actually like failed it.
Okay. Were you guys doing critical points or were you doing templates?
It was critical points.
Okay. So I'm going to make it templates this term, you guys. So I'll show you where you can get your templates and everything, just to make it simple. So I feel like people get a little bit more out of it when they do the templates. So that's what we're going to do. But anyway, with this, So it's just a practice exam that you do, this OB practice A. So I forget how many questions it is. It's not that bad. So it'll have a printout just like before when you've done these things before, and it'll say, oh, you got, such and such a percentage, and then you'll figure out how many you have to do, and you'll do those. And then you're going to turn them in on Canvas to me in a Dropbox. And so that's how I'll know that you have all that done. So you're turning in your templates, like the correct amount, and then you're turning in your printout for your test. So I know, you've done all of that, and I know the exact percentage that you had. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. When we get done going through the syllabus, I'll get on ATI to show you, where stuff's at and everything. Okay, so that's that day. So week 4, we get into chapter 12 and 13. And then this is when we have our first test. So in here, it's kind of weird because normal classes, you have like 3 or 4 exams. In here, because this class is split between OB and PEDS, you have 2 exams for OB and that's it. So each 2 of these exams are 150 points like a normal exam would be in any other class. But look at all these chapters. There's a ton of chapters that it goes over because it's such a condensed little short period of time that you go into it. So anyway, I took a look at the first exam. It doesn't seem too horrible. I can see like they tried to pick, most important stuff out of each chapter to pop on there. So I don't think it'll be too bad. We'll get it figured out. All right, and then week 5, we go over 15, 16, and 17. And then here's your other OB practice exam B. So again, you do the same thing. You take that exam, you do your printout, and whatever you've got, you would do your templates to go with that, and then you turn in your printout and your templates on Canvas to me so that you can get your 25 points. Let's see. Week 6, we have chapter 6 and 7 that you're going to go over. And then we have a proctored exam. So good old proctored exams. So this is the OB one. It's worth a total of 50 points. And that would be if you get your level 3, of course. So again, with these proctored exams, you're going to have to do remediation for these as well. So make sure that you look at your percentage and do the right number of templates and everything to go with that. So obviously, level 3 is what everyone would love to have, but it's hard to get a level 3. You guys know that. So, shoot for a level 2 if you can. That would be probably your best bet. And, obviously if you get level 1 or below, or it's going to, affect your points a lot. Okay, week 7, we do chapter 10 and 14. So this is starting to get into some postpartum stuff here. Week 8, we do chapter 3 and 4. And then week 8 is our OB second exam. So this would be the 150 points, and here's all of the chapters that goes over. All right, week 9. I believe we don't have class that day because it's that first week of July, where we're in between, terms. So I put here, what you would normally do in class that day. So you guys would still be responsible for doing all of the reading and all of that, but we won't, actually be online together that day because you won't have class. Week 10. So now we're into all the pediatric stuff. So again, you kind of start that week 9, really, that you start getting into some of that. All right, week 10. This is where we do chapter 10, 18, 22. Well, actually just 22. It's just certain portions of that chapter, I guess. All right, and then that day we have our practice ATI exam A for PEDS that you'll have to do with remediation for 25 points. Okay, week 11. This is where we have our first pediatrics exam. So 150 points. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Actually, that doesn't look as bad as the other stuff. So maybe 9 chapters here. So that's not too bad. So anyway, that's our first exam for peds. The following week on week 12, we do chapter 12 and 19. You'll have your practice exam B due that day. Chapter 13, or excuse me, week 13, you're going to do chapters 16, 17, and 21. Week 14, we've got chapter 13, 14, and 20. And we'll have our second exam that day. And then week 15, so we're going to have our proctored exam for peds that day. So same type of thing, it'll be worth about the same amount of points as the OB was. And then our final exam will be week 16, of course. And final exam's worth 200 points. So here's the breakdown of everything here. So a total of 4 exams altogether in the class, 2 for OB, 2 for peds. You'll have your final exam at the end. You'll have your 2 proctored exams. Both of those are worth 50 points, making up, 100 points here. And then your practice things that you do, each worth 25 points, for a total of 100 altogether here. And then here's our dosage calculation and all of that here at the bottom. The very bottom of this, I don't know if you saw this, but here's your breakdown for your proctored exams. So if you get a level 3, you get 100% of your points. So if it's worth 50, you would get 50 points. If you get a level 2, you'd get 80% of that. If you get a level 1, you'd get 70% of that. If you get a below level 1, it would be 50%. So that's kind of how that works. Questions about any of that? Let me get on ATI just a second here. Okay. So on ATI, let me get on here like I'm a student so you can see what you would normally see. Okay, so when you're on your view, if you're under My ATI, see up at the very top where it says Study Materials, ATI, or Active Learning Templates, that's where you find those at. So if you click on that, here's your basic concept, diagnostic procedure, growth and development, medication, nursing skill, system disorder, therapeutic procedure. So really, like you get in there and you would just have to download it and save it onto something, and you can like type in here and do whatever you want. So it's real easy. So that's where all of those are for you to find. Um, it's under this. There we go. Okay, so this is typically, and I need to get in here later today and like unlock everything. So if you don't have access just yet, that's my fault. I just have to get in there and do it. So anyway, this is where under test, that's where you should be able to see your practice exams that you do. And then on the days that we do the proctored, you know, that'll be in here as well. Now, did you guys have to do a proctored last term?
Yes.
So you guys got to do the proctorio and stuff with ATI?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So anyway, that you'll know what to expect then when we do that later this term. All right, so that's where all of that stuff's at. And then I did want to remind you that, which I think I showed you guys this last time I had you. I'm not sure if I did or not. I think I did. There is something in here that you can do to help you prepare for those. Remember this dynamic quizzes? So if you go in here and you can say adaptive quizzes, or it doesn't have to be adaptive, but remember this is under that Learning System RN 3.0. So there's all of these different categories in here. And so like if you want to just do stuff specific about peds, you know, here's nursing care of children, launch adaptive exam, you know, you could do that. Here's maternal newborn for our first part of the class. So you could sit here and quiz yourself and like really get good at these questions, hopefully, so that when you do your proctored, you get a good grade on it. So I would definitely remember going in here to do this because there's a ton of questions. So for maternal newborn, look, 400 questions. For peds, 398. So that's a lot. That's be very helpful, I think, to do that. So don't forget about that. And then there's other places in here too that has, you know, questions that you could do too if you wanted to. Just in Learning System RN, like the basic part of it. Let's see. Let me see if this is right. So if you just did this by itself, you know how they have all these standard quizzes. Well, look at all of these things, right? So you could even get in here and do some practice questions. Here's maternal newborn 1, maternal newborn 2, maternal newborn final. So there's all kinds of ways that you could practice to get ready for this. So I would definitely do that. And then of course, when you get your ATI books, that's going to help you a lot too, because it's all broken down in there, stuff that's important to know. So that's that stuff. Did you guys have questions about those templates at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay. The other thing, let me just go through the addendum real quick and then we can be done with all this stupid stuff. Okay. So with the addendum, you know, this always looks the same. It always has this crazy chart in the beginning. Here's your normal clinical evaluation tool if you were really going to actual clinicals this term. Here's the price of success stuff. All right, so just like before, we have this test taking success plan. So if you score less than a 76 on one of your tests, then you need to get with me so we can do, remediation. So we'll do that, all throughout the term again. With the math tests. So the math test must be passed at a 90% or above to be satisfactory for this class. So again, if you fail that first one, you'll have your second one that you could do. And then, after the second one, that's it. So, and then just know, next term, after this semester, next term would be your last term, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that last term, you can't miss anything on your math. It has to be 100%. So you really want to make sure that you're really strong in your math to finish out here so that you don't have problems with this. So anyway, we'll work on it a little bit today and hopefully you'll feel pretty good. And, from now until next week, you have all this time to work on it. So hopefully it'll be fine. With our attendance for here for online, so they tell us as instructors that, like say you don't come to a lecture that I do during the day, that's okay. I could still count you for attendance as long as you're being active in the class doing other things. So like if you're in the discussion board and doing something that I post in there, which I still need to do that in your class, I need to fix that up for you guys. Or if you, email me and ask me questions or something, I can count you for attendance by anything like that. So that's kind of how that goes with attendance. Obviously, we would love for all of you guys to be at class every time we have class, but I get it. There's times where you can't be. So if you do miss and you need something, hopefully you can get notes from someone else. I'm trying to like record everything that I do on Zoom, so then I post it later on. I have to convert it and do all this stuff. It's a pain, but I do that. So I will post it on your Canvas so that if you miss it, you can go listen to it later. Here's all your legitimate excuses, clinical attendance. Student chain of communication. So obviously, if there is an issue or something in class or lab or something, you go to your instructor first, try to talk to them about it. If you're not satisfied with how that was handled, then who do you go to next?
Talking about the dean.
Yeah, right now it would be the dean since we don't really have a chair at the moment. But if we had a chair, that would be who you would go to next, and then you would go to the dean after that if that was the case. But that's kind of how it goes now. We do have the ADA policy. So if anyone's interested in that, that's kind of information about that. Here is information about your tests again. So each test is worth 150 points. We have those proctored tests, for OB and PEDS. So you have to do your remediation, to get full credit for those. So it's on here exactly how much you get for points. And then I don't think this is correct. I need to check this out. So I need to find your thing because I think you're right. I think it is 3 and then it goes up 3 and like that. This isn't right here. So I'll fix that by the end of the day today. So ignore this for now. You're going to have a different scale on here. Questions about anything so far?
I actually do. I had a VSIM code that's not working for a lot, like allowing me to join a class. Who do I contact? Just like the helpline from VSIM or?
Yeah, see here, let me show you this real quick. Let me get on here.
It's like, cause I asked my instructor and she really didn't kind of clarify anything for me.
Yeah, she's kind of new to stuff, so she wasn't real sure. She was asking me, and then I got back to her, but maybe she didn't get back to you yet or something. Do you guys see this okay?
Yep.
Okay, so under modules on our page, up at the top under Read Me First, if you go to this virtual clinical and lab information, this has all of the things that we're supposed to do for assignments here listed. These would be your drop boxes. So like if you had something that you have to turn in for that, you know, for papers or whatever, you would turn it in on here in these drop boxes. But Drew, this is where I think you should go. So here's technical support. So if you're having trouble, I would contact them here and just say that you're having trouble with your code. Now, did you type it in or did you copy and paste it?
Both.
And it just still didn't work?
It said it wasn't a class.
It said what?
It said like it wasn't a class, like to register into.
Did you just did this yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I would call them and see what they say to do, because this term they did everything different. Like we don't have the access codes to give everyone. You know, you guys had those through the bookstore, and the only things that we had were those class codes, and so that's all I had to give you is what I gave. So occasionally there's an issue with something stupid, so they can probably fix it. Just call them or talk to them today and then let me know what they say. So if there's something else that I need to do on my end, I can do that.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where that stuff's at. Here's those papers, like the concept map. This is like, this one here is kind of like a med card. Here's an SBAR worksheet and then the clinical worksheet. That's where that stuff's at if you need it. And then here's Shadow Health stuff at the bottom. So if you guys ever had an issue with Shadow Health, here's their technical support down here at the bottom. So that's kind of how you get to them. So anyway, that's all of that information in case you need any of that stuff. Now, you guys, if you want to get into that stuff while you're on your Canvas page, these are links that they made on here for you guys. So like if I'm going to do Shadow Health maternal health cases, if I click on that, it automatically takes me into Shadow Health. Okay. So that's kind of what some of that stuff is up top there. I don't know if you guys even looked at that or not. So let's see what else is up here. Here, I think if you click on this one, this takes you right into vSim, I believe. Yeah. So that's kind of what those are. Darn it, I didn't mean to get out of that altogether. Anyone else have trouble getting into anything yesterday? Okay. So I just want to show you a couple other things on here and then we'll get going with some other stuff. So anyway, all of this stuff's at the top, you know, under modules on your Canvas page. So that's where you can find that stuff. Then what I would prefer to do, if I could, is I want to put all of your PowerPoints and stuff that we do every week under each unit. And so I do have one of them right here. This is chapter 1. So I don't have a book for this class still. I'm supposed to get it hopefully today in the mail. So I had to reach out to someone from another campus to give me some PowerPoints because I don't have anything. So she gave me her PowerPoints. So like when you look at this, this has like a voiceover from her. She's from the Wisconsin, one of those Wisconsin campuses. And I probably shouldn't have put this one on here with her voice, but you know, that's all I had. So anyway, that's that one. And then I have the other ones for today too that I just didn't put on here that I'll fix and put on there eventually. But anyway, that's what I want to do is put everything under each unit so you know where everything's at. You don't have to like fuss for it under announcements and stuff. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Okay, let's go ahead and switch gears and do a little bit of math. So if you have paper and a calculator, go grab that real quick. And I'm going to put this practice test up here. Here's your code. So since I'm giving you this code, you can go in here, you know, even after class and go in and mess with these problems, okay? So this is kind of what your first test is going to look like. It's going to be a lot of just conversions in the beginning, like a little bit of conversions. We're going to do these different kinds of PEDS problems like this, which I don't know that you guys have ever done anything like that before. Has anyone done this before?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So let's work on this real quick together. So this number 9. So it says the doctor orders Zithromax for a child that weighs 82 pounds. So anytime we have a weight, we usually fix that weight first, right? So we always take our 82 pounds and divide it by 2.2, right? So what is that? So it looks like it comes out to something like 37.27 repeating. So I would just take it to 37.27, okay? So we'll say it's that, 37.27 kilograms. All right, and then the next part of this question, it says the safe dose range for this medication is 10 to 12 milligrams per kilogram per day. What is the maximum safe daily dose for this child? So what we do is, we take what we had for our weight, so our 37.27, and we're going to multiply that by 10, and then we're also going to multiply that by 12. So multiplying it by 10 is going to be the minimum safe dose, and multiplying it by 12 is going to give us the maximum safe dose. So occasionally you'll see a question that'll say, hey, this is what was ordered. Is this safe or not? And then you'll have to say yes or no. So to know if it's safe, it would have to fall within that range between being on the low end of good or the high end of good. It has to be within that range. So for this particular question, it's just asking about the maximum safe daily dose for this child. So just by doing the 37.27 times 12 should give you hopefully this. Did you guys get that okay?
I got 447.24. Why would that round up to 3?
Yeah, it's just going to depend on how you round is how that's going to work out. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So like when we did our kilograms, I don't know if we change that, if we round that differently there, if that would make this different. Someone try that and see if you get something that would be more similar to
Yeah.
40.
If you don't round 37.27, if you just keep the number long, and then if you multiply, then you get 447.27 instead of 24.
Okay.
So then you
So maybe
would
that's
go
what
to
they want you
0.3.
to do. Okay. So this is considered like PEDS math, even though we're doing OB first. That's what this kind of stuff is. So there's probably, a few more of those. Here's another one, number 11. So try this one. So you have an order for 200 milligrams ibuprofen every 8 hours. The child weighs 49 pounds. The safe dose range for this medication is 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram per dose. What's the minimum safe dose? So now you're going to take 49 divided by 2.2. And then we are going to multiply that by 5. Did you guys get this?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, these aren't that bad. Here's another one. So you're taking care of a child who's scheduled to get Benadryl. The child weighs 98 pounds. Safe dose is 5 milligrams per kilogram per day. What's the safe dosage for this child? So this one's nice and easy. You just have the one number to multiply. So 227 or 222.7 is what you should get. Let me see if there's any other ones like that. Now here's one, number 20. So a child weighs 42 pounds. And then it says they have a fever and they order Tylenol. The safe dose is 10 to 15 every 6 hours. What's the maximum safe dose this child can have per day? And since it says per day, you may have to do a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah, so for this one, you figure out your weight and you take what you get times 15 because it says maximum safe dose. But since it's per day, and since this is every 6 hours, if you give something every 6 hours, that's 4 times a day. So whatever I get when I multiply my weight times 15, I'm going to multiply that by 4, since it's 4 times a day that you would give this, for the per day dose, and that's going to give me this. Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so as you can see, there's a few of those on this test, so that's the type of stuff that you'll have. And then some of the other stuff you should already know, like, are you guys good with time stuff like this one? So number 19, it says patients admitted to room 4320, they need to receive 2,000 milliliters of lactated ringers at 200 an hour. If the infusion is started at 6 in the morning, what time is it complete? Have you done something like that before or no?
Yeah, I think we have.
Okay. So basically, if you just take the volume, 2,000 milliliters, and divide it by 200, you get 10. So it's going to take 10 hours for that to go in. So if they started at 6 in the morning, you just add 10 to that. So 10 added to 0600 is 1600, right? Because they want it in military time. So it would be done at 4 p.m. All right, and then there'll be a couple like this where they'll have like a medication label. These are, real basic, simple ones. So you look at your order. The order is for 750 milligrams daily. And then you look at your label and it says, hey, 250 milligrams per 5 milliliters. So then you figure out how many milliliters you need to get from that. Trying to see if there's anything else that you might need to know. All right, here's a couple drops per minute questions. You guys great with those? Yes, no?
You could probably use some practice.
Go over one. Yeah.
Okay. So with drops per minute questions, let's look at 14 here. So it says give 800 milliliters of normal saline over 7 hours. Your unit supplies 10 drops per milliliter tubing. How many drops per minute should this be? Anytime you have a drops per minute question, you're going to take your volume times your drop factor, which it gives you right here. So 800 times 10. And then you're going to divide it by your time in minutes. So that means you need to convert 7 hours into minutes.
It's 420.
Okay. So what would you get if you did 800 times 10 divided by 420?
$19.
Okay, perfect. And then same thing for 15 then. So you would have a 1500 is our volume. So 1500 times 15, which is our drop factor, divided by whatever 12 hours is in minutes. Which I think that's 720 or something. Did you get 31?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, let me see here. You guys know how many teaspoons is in a milliliter, right? Or how many milliliters is in a teaspoon?
I think it's
5.
5.
5, right? So in here, this says, hey, we have 300 milligrams that we're supposed to give at HS. And here's our medication label with 75 milligrams. Trying to see what the heck that says. Oh, it says 100 milliliters when mixed. So see if you can get 4 for this. Because it's asking how many teaspoons should be administered to give a correct dose. So you figure it out from milliliters and then you have to convert it to teaspoons.
I just got 4 for my answer without converting.
Okay. All right, so that's that one. What else do we got? How about this one? You guys good with this one here? This is about, I'm looking at number 10. So it's talking about someone needs to get 2,200 calories per day. If each can of formula contains 250 calories, how many cans of formula will you need in order to have this person's daily requirement?
You just round up, so it's 9 cans.
Yeah. So we're basically just dividing there. All right, and then just make sure you brush up on your conversions because you know these are supposed to be really simple and you don't want to miss something stupid like this. So remember your pounds and kilograms. This one, you know pounds to kilograms, so you would have to convert twice to get to grams here, right? And then here's milligrams to micrograms, grams to milligrams, milliliters to liters.
On those kilogram problems, how will we know like what place to round to?
Which one are you looking at?
Like where, so it says 7 pounds. So they did 3.182. Oh,
No, that's
Never mind.
3,182.
never mind. I was thinking pounds to kilograms. My bad.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, all of these, I believe when you figure them out, they should be this exact number, when you do it. So it shouldn't be a matter of having to figure out how to round. Like even this one here, this 332 milliliters to liters, it should come out right to this. So anyway, that's kind of what your first math exam should look very similar to this. So you're going to have, probably just different numbers in these same type of problems. Was there anything in there that you feel like you didn't feel real comfortable with that you need me to say something about? Okay, so I'm just going to give you a page in your math book that I think you should go to try and just do a little bit of practice. So you guys remember this math book, right? Med Math. So I think it's chapter 8 in the Med Math book, there is something on page 328. It just has 10 problems there, and it's all about those new ones that we just did, those PEDS math ones. And so you could just practice those to make sure you feel really good with that. Okay, so for each of our classes that they're having us do, they're telling us that, obviously we don't stay online for, the amount of hours that we normally would be in class. So what they want us to do is just to do like little short sessions. So like this morning, we got on at 8:30, it's almost 9:30 now. So we could end right here. And then they tell us to come on one more time in our time frame that we would have had class. So like I could come on at 10 or whatever, to finish up some of our content for today. What time would you like me to come back on?
This is over at what, 11:45?
I think so.
10:45.
Okay.
So we have an hour to follow up, and if anybody's got questions.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll put another little Zoom thing up so you guys know what time to come back and everything.
Okay. Also, I actually do have a question. So
Sure.
they're saying for our clinical aspect, we can't work ahead because we have to be working on those hours. What can we work ahead in? Shadow health?
Well, I mean, technically, all of that's supposed to be clinical hours. So
Okay.
I would just do, what you can on that week for that week. I wouldn't really work ahead with that stuff.
Okay. And
I
then
would,
do we come back on for the remain like another for our next class, right? At 12:30, correct?
correct.
Okay.
And
Just
I'll
making
put
sure
a,
it wasn't B turn.
yeah, I'll put a thing up for that as well.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, I will see you guys at 10:45.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.